NatalieCarterTalksFitness.com. So the other day I popped a little shout out on my social media channels to ask me any health and fitness related questions, and I got some real good ones. And so the one that I'm going to do in this little video, and I'm just going to read it out, it says, I would love to know if you have any tips for dealing with change. I know that this is more mental health related, but I always like to hear a different perspective. So I think that that is a friggin' awesome question, and it's something that we deal with almost, weekly, even daily sometimes, depending on how often our environments are changing. Again, just from my perspective, I feel, I've made a few notes, I feel like if we keep constantly fighting against change is inevitable. Change happens every single day, and the more and more we fight against, it could be anything really, it gets really hard and it gets quite stressful because we can't halt change. So I think that initially it's all about accepting change. That's number one. And understanding that we can't really, obviously there are some things in our control that we can change, but a lot of the things we can't. So I think that whole acknowledging the change, embracing that it's happening, and like anything with our, with the way that our mindset works, the way that our minds work, it's all about the reaction towards. So you have those people, the half glass full kind of people, or what's the other one? Half glass full, you know what I'm talking about. So you will have people that see change as a good thing and a way to meet new people and have different opportunities happen. But then there are some people that think, oh my God, what's going to happen? That they really get into that fear mindset. So me personally, I like to live in that positive mindset, trying to think of all the great outcomes that can happen. And sometimes you might need to make a list. Because, sometimes with regards to change, it's not really, as I said before, it's not in our control. So it might be that a partner's having to move for their job, or you're getting a different placement or something like that. So you can't really control that. So in that case, we definitely have to be in acknowledging that it's out of our control. What else have I got here? When you are changing and it's your change, I think that sometimes we have to put a little bit of onus on ourselves that we made the steps to change. So to really feel, it's got to feel right for us. So for me, for example, what am I going to use as an example? Trying to be a vegetarian. It doesn't happen. Been there, done that. It doesn't feel right for me. Yes, ethically, sustainably, I can understand all those, but personally in my body, how I feel about meat and food in general, being a vegetarian is not going to work for me. So in that instance, it doesn't feel right for me. So there's going to be a very, very minimal chance that I will ever try to keep that going on board. So I do feel like a lot, when you do make changes, they do need to feel, you need to have an aspect of it feeling right. It's got to work for you. This is a very good one. We need to be questioning or reminding ourselves why we're doing the change. So if the change tends to be out of your control, remind yourself what the outcome is. So for example, I'm just thinking, housing market in Sydney, you might go and move to a cheaper place or a place where you're going to save rent and et cetera, but the outcome there is for you to possibly buy a house in a different area or have a different lifestyle, things like that. So for me, I could constantly keep reminding myself that we're here for a reason, to remind yourself of the reason, so you keep coming back. Again, it's a little bit like when we make health and fitness goals, or we're trying to kind of work towards something. We've got to remind ourselves, we've got to think of our why. We've got to think of, why am I putting my life on the line? Why am I, changing so many things around? I think that helps us to just assert ourselves and go, you know what? Maybe this is all okay, because we can easily talk ourselves out of any situation. I'm also thinking that flexibility is a really important thing in this whole thing. It's never going to be perfect. The change is never going to be perfect. Yes, you may cry into your pillow. You may think, oh my gosh, we did the worst thing in the whole wide world. I think back to when we did our sailing little adventure, 4 months on a very tiny boat. We were pretty inexperienced. We'd never done it before. However, we had a great time. We learnt so much. We were constantly making amendments and flexibility. We couldn't go to certain areas because sometimes it doesn't work out how you think it's going to work out, and that's friggin' annoying sometimes. However, that's life, and because we live in this perfect Instagram-sized kind of world, we forget that life happens around us, and it's never perfect. And the problem is that not enough people are really showing a real life situation unfold. It's all very pretty and concise, and it's the highlight reel of life. But no one's showing their fights with their husbands, their kids, throwing up. And I mean, look, I know that that's a bit of a mummy movement now with the whole Instagram thing, but I generally think we are filtering a lot of our lives in general. So rather than me digress, I think being flexible with the change and what you're going to expect is important as well too. The last thing, and the thing that kind of encompasses it all, so I don't keep waffling on here, embracing change. We really need to embrace it. We need to understand that change is part of life. I really do think that you need to go for it 100%, put all your energy into it. If it means making new friends, if it means, you really have to be open with that kind of stuff. It's a little bit like the drama days of, if you ever stepped into the ring to do any improvisation, you would never knock something back. You would never, the worst thing you can do in that sense, and you can really apply it to life, is to say no. It's all about being yes to opportunities. So I personally think that just having that little switch that allows you to go, you know what? No, even if it is against all the things that you feel, it's nice to just be open and embrace things. So I feel like that's my advice in a nutshell, that we acknowledge and accept that there is change that's going to happen. The change has got to feel right. So like, I would never move to Abu Dhabi or Dubai because I fucking hate the place. I'd move to the south of France. I'm open to those kind of things. You've got to question and remind yourself why you are doing those, why the change is occurring, and be flexible with it, and then embrace the change. I think that's it. I think I've done quite well. Let me know if you've got any tips. Maybe you've got some experience with it all. I hope that's helped you in a little question, and stay tuned for the next little one that we do. See ya.